Good morning.
Good morning, goddesses. How are you doing today?
Yeah. We are exploring all the many things, all the many lessons that we are gaining from these goddesses, and very excited to discuss and chat about our goddess of the week here, the Princess of Mercy.
It's interesting as we've been exploring the goddesses in this particular group and that whole element of love and its different aspects of the thread and how it's
all connected,
expressed in different ways. And so we've come across we're here at Mercy, which is just another aspect of love, right?
Yeah.
And I think, well, prior to our hopping on and recording, I was talking about how it's funny how we've come across these phenomenal women. I mean, these are like real life women in the world. This is not just mythology, even though there's probably a little mythology that's built around them only because the people that they affect are trying to make sense of this woman who is acting out of something that the world might not understand, but we certainly do. And I if it's okay with you, I just wanted to jump into a little aspect of her story.
I'll share her name. I don't think I said it.
Miao Shan.
Miao Shan.
Yeah. Let's see. She had, well, and this is funny because I did say, well, her story sounds a lot like Kuan Yin, and she actually is thought to be the incarnation of Kuan Yin. And as we know, Kuan Yin had been banished, and that she, through her love, had shown mercy. And this same goddess, shall we say, was the same. She was forgiving people. And there's a king that said, I don't think you should be doing that. Probably that's my role, and banishes her somewhere where she is still practicing that magic that she has. And let's see where it is here. Oh, I love this. Well, the king had ordered Miao Shan's execution. Here we go again. But no blade or sword could kill her. Instead, each weapon shattered into pieces before touching her body.
Wow.
After several attempts, this is so cool, a gorgeous glowing white tiger appeared and spirited Miao Shan away. The tiger took her to meet Yama, the ruler of hell. Miao Shan immediately heard the suffering of the souls all around her, and one by one, she liberated them with the fierce power of her empathy. Yama had to send her away because she was transforming hell into heaven. How about that?
Wow.
I mean, even the worst of these that are among us, we can have empathy and we can show mercy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And compassion.
And I think that is definitely a lesson in my life, to transform what could have been hatred into compassion, into understanding that, I for a period of time was joining the Buddhist Center for meditations every Sunday morning for about a year. And I talked a lot about the spark, right? The spark of the divine, and that every human being, every being, and in this world that we live in, including blades of grass, is a spark of the divine, right? So how we choose to interact with each spark of the divine is a reflection of our own healing, right? So when I act out in frustration or anger or irritation, then I'm projecting to the another spark of the divine negativity and creating a disease in the world. And then when I choose to take pause, to step back, to observe my own experience in that, and instead shower out love and compassion and kindness, then I am once again sending out a ripple of energy that will touch the sparks. In the Buddhist class that I went to, we talked one day about every being is your mother and every being is your child. So every being that we've come in contact with at some point in time, I was their mother and I was their child.
Mm.
And that really transformed the way that I thought about some of my pains that I've experienced in my life. And I still have to work at it. I still have pains. I still have hurt feelings. I still have relationships that don't feel so great from my past that maybe are not in my life anymore. And so I have to do the work. I have to sit into the heart space and I have to observe where can I offer more compassion, because that's ultimately offering mercy, just offering love, offering forgiveness.
Yeah, that's like in the prayer of Saint Francis, where there's hatred, let me show love.
Yeah.
Just do the opposite in in the name of love, in the name of mercy. I may have referenced this in other talks, but I watch a YouTube channel where this photographer, videographer set up shop in downtown LA in Skid Row. And from an outsider looking in, these are like the worst of the worst. And you think, how can they behave that way? And they're just so full of fear and they're lost. They don't feel loved. And I mean, deep down, they're just lost. And when people walk by, most people just they turn away. They don't look at them as people. Granted, it's kind of a dangerous place. You probably don't want to be wandering around there because you don't know
right,
because they're desperate. They will do some things that you might not want to have happen to you. However, he was talking to this woman who was just really down and out. However, she was so articulate. So she had just fallen on really hard times and trying to pull herself out. And even in the worst of her circumstances, she would sit there and as people were going by, she would just say hello. She would say hello to them. And maybe she would ask for something and people would just turn away and walk on by. She said, I am a person. I have an education. Not that you have to have an education to be loved and revered and all that, but she's like, I am not the person that you think I am. I am not somebody who's chosen to just be a bum or see what I can get from you. And that just really pulled at my heartstrings because talk about mercy. We like Miao Shan was doing, she was turning hell into heaven. I'm telling you, these souls that were lost and she's freeing them.
Yeah.
It's really profound.
It is. Well, and that's interesting. You just kind of sparked a memory for me of something I saw just recently on Facebook. I'm a part of this group that's for the town I live in. And a couple weeks ago, I was driving down the highway and saw this big, giant blue umbrella off the side of the road. And there was a lawn chair underneath the umbrella. And the umbrella is stuck in like a shopping cart that had a bunch of things in it.
Right.
and there was a woman sitting in the lawn chair, and I thought, well, that's very interesting.
Along the highway?
Yeah, along Highway 50, just at
Oh,
the
okay.
turnabout for 27 and 50.
Okay.
Anyway, so a couple of days later, I see this post in this community board asking, does anyone know about the woman on Highway 50 with the giant umbrella?
Yeah.
And to read the messages of our community talking about this woman, and people would actually stopped and talked to her and asked if she needed help. And she was like, yeah, I just can't find a house to live in. I can't find a place to live because everything's too expensive. And so I'm trying to save money. And so this is what and so again, our judgments, that's what's standing in the way of love, right? Is whatever developed judgments we have about different life experiences. So here's this woman who's literally just trying to find a place to live. And so she's making do until she can get to that place to live. And she's working and saving money and doing what she can in the moment. And it's finding that space of compassion for everyone, no matter what their life experience is. And again, this is a practice. I keep talking about this in when I'm blogging or just yoga is the cornerstone for me of or the foundation for me of my belief structures at this point. The philosophies of yoga have really opened my heart to understanding and to remembering that at the end of the day, any pain or sorrow or hurt feelings that I have that were generated out of a relationship with another, they're simply my opportunity. So I can continue to let my ego mind create chaos, or I can step into my work, I can step into my own journey, my own healing, and say, what part of this is mine? And really, truly, that at the end of the day is the question that I have to ask myself every time I find myself spinning out. Because I am a human and I have an ego mind that likes to create all kinds of chaos. I'm a codependent in recovery. So it is real easy for me to get stuck in that loop. And so if I don't pay attention, that's how I get in the loop. So I have to be really mindful of, okay, what energy am I bringing into the situation that's creating this? Because at the end of the day, I'm the only one that I can do anything about. And so if I do this work, then I can offer compassion, forgiveness, mercy to the other person.
And to ourselves. We're not perfect. We're just spiritual beings living in the human body, having a human experience. And we don't act right all the time.
No,
and saintly, however, we can go down that road of the shoulds. I can should on myself. So I should. That has been the hardest word to take out of my everyday language. I tell you, it is so full of self-judgment and judgment of others. Well, they should be acting that way. They should have done that. I should have. And I to stop and think as we're talking that show a little mercy to myself.
Yeah.
Give myself that. Not okay, that's okay to act that way or whatever, but just okay, you messed up. You probably said something you shouldn't, that was not kind to say at the moment. However, grant yourself a little, that's a part of self-care. It's just
well, and again, it's that 3 gates, is it kind, is it necessary, that will it cause harm?
Right. And what what I got from what you had just said about following the life of a yogi, that you have embodied those concepts in such a way that for the most part it becomes automatic. And I
But
would,
yoga is a practice. So
but that's exactly,
yeah.
meditation is practice, yoga is a practice. If you're not doing it, then
right. And I think that's the magic there, right? So yoga is
yeah,
not just the physical movement of the body on a mat. It's the practice of the philosophies. It's the practice of unconditional love. It's the practice of what am I, you know, how am I being of service in the world? Like
right,
there's so much more than just the asana. Like this is how much it is of the yoga is that, and then there's all of this other stuff out here, and it's like
yeah,
and
well,
to just to bring that into my cells, it changed me. When you go to a yoga class and you're silently moving and your teacher is talking and sharing different things, the words that are coming out of that teacher's mouth is because they have that education, and it's being gently, the seeds are gently being planted into your being every time you find yourself on that mat.
yeah, that's what I find. Well, I love your classes. Are you set a high bar for a lot of the classes I've taken in others, but the ones I have really enjoyed were the ones that incorporated that language, that understanding, and not just calling out the next pose. Okay, this, that, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I just got into this one. You need to go into something else. And sometimes you want that physical activity, and you just want to get through it and move your body. However, like you said, there's so many other parts of it, and
so
the asana is and we miss that sometimes. And I really revere those yogis that practice that day to day and use it. So I honor you in that.
Well, and the homemaker yogi, that is the most difficult yogic journey, is being able to practice yoga while living in this very, you know, intense world. Iyengar talked about the homemaker yogi and how much more difficult their journey is compared to the yogi that's living in the ashram.
Absolutely. We could put ourselves in a little bubble. I think I've said this before in other talks, where we like our little goddess group, we, you know, do these things, and then all of a sudden we've got to step outside and go back into our house.
And then it's like, oh wow,
okay,
I have so many triggers here, right?
Well, you can be like, oh, Shan, and when those things are coming at you, it's like you got this protective shield. You're like Wonder Woman. It's like poo, poo, poo. You can't.
Well, and I think that there is something to be said about the immersion piece too. You know, I mean, that's the reason that you practice yoga with regularity, is because every time you come onto the mat, you walk off the mat with that remembrance. You walk off the mat feeling that way. I mean, I can remember when my son was younger and I wasn't teaching yoga as much because I was taking a sabbatical, I was taking a little pause, and all I was doing was practicing, and it was going back into the classroom and just allowing myself to be guided. And Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings were the days that I was going to yoga at this, you know, quaint little studio that spoke my language. Unfortunately, they are no longer, but you know, at the time, it was such a haven for me, and it was right here, and that was so wonderful. And on the Tuesdays that you know, something happened with my son, or I felt like I needed to stay home because I needed to, you know, have a conversation or whatever, he would look at me and go, Mommy, you need to go to yoga. Mommy, you need to go to yoga. Yeah, it's your yoga night. You need to go to yoga. And he would like, he didn't even know he was doing it, but that little, Mommy, you need to go to yoga. because he saw the difference. He's like, you're different when you come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay.
Oh, we have so
So
much to learn from our children.
mhm. Yeah. So yeah, it was such a beautiful, magical, wonderful time.
Yeah.
Um and it helped me remember. And it was before I started teaching others to teach yoga. And that was pretty beautiful to be able to take that time for myself and really reintegrate into why I fell in love with yoga to begin with. So
Yeah.
again, it's a practice. The more that you do it, the easier it is for you to just be it.
Right. Right.
So
So it may be a little uncomfortable with some certain people in your life, but we we encourage you to tap into that mercy, tap into that compassion,
yep.
that Kuan Yin energy that's embodied now in Miao Shan. I keep wanting to call her Miao Shan.
All right. Well, beautiful goddesses, thank you so much for your time with us.
Yes,
This
thank
week
you.
we will have our full moon circle. It's a special event. There is a live access point as well as an online access point for the session this week. So if you'd like to join us, then, and you can't join us live, you can communicate with me directly and I can tell you how to access the online version to register. So with that, we look forward to seeing you and I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Mm-hmm. Namaste.
Namaste.